First and foremost, before we get started, I'd like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash, and double honors to those great millstone, while learnt his truth, and also to the Ophilat that scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great, powerful lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the type of day lesson is news and prophecy, government shutdown, and rumors of wars. So I like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope this help you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today's lesson, I have a quick news article here by CBS News, and it reads, it says, government shutdown, live updates, and impasse enter second day. So we already know that the government has shut down, and also we knowing about Pete Hegseth meeting with these generals and admirals of the military. So a lot of things are taking place. Also, rumors of wars are all over the place more than ever, constantly increasing. Also, it's rumors of that America is getting ready to go back to war with Iran. Also said that, war is imminent with Venezuela. And also it's saying it's a possibility that it could be going to war with Russia because Russia is constantly, coming into NATO airspace. So it's a lot of things that taking place. So we already knowing that the Democrats and Republicans going back and forth. We already knowing the playbook. All of a sudden, they want to shut the government down. Also, it's already reports that DJ Donald Trump, wants to convince the military to turn on men and women in fact, the U.S. citizen, so it's rumors of that. It has not been confirmed, but we already know that, at some point that we know that that the military is going to get it popping in these major cities. Also, he constantly saying that he's getting ready to go into Chicago. So we already know that this government shutdown is going to affect what you call the essential workers, the one that works in, like at the airport, in the medical field, what else, law enforcement, and also military. So they call them frontline workers, and so they're gonna have to work now without pay until till the government reopen. But we already know that they, a lot of them gonna take out loans and different things like that. But we're seeing these things are constantly lining up, and also they're saying that it could affect some government assistance, like food stamps, Section 8, and the homeless something about the homeless people, like they're getting these government assistance, for homeless people, something else I'm trying to say. But anyway, to come back to me later, it just slipped my mind right now. But one thing about we seeing right now that they constantly putting these things into play. All of a sudden now, he had a meeting with the military. All of a sudden now the government is shutting down, So, right now we know that more than ever that, that the war drums are beating left and right, and also, keep hearing rumors that DJ Donald Trump is getting ready to turn America into a police state using the military. So, I don't know whether he's trying to groom them or getting them prepared for what is getting ready to happen. We knowing that something is getting ready to go down. We knowing that all hell is getting ready to break loose. The government is suddenly shut down. And also, saying that, we already know basically who this is basically going to affect. Pretty much it's people of color, the Negroes, the Latinos, the Native Indians. I'm talking to you. We're at war. And out about it, we know that the devil's getting ready to come down with great wrath. But a lot of our people still are not aware, still are not considering the signs of the time. They're right before your eyes. We're living in the end time, real time, the last days. And we're seeing these things are constantly picking up. We're not going to go into this report. I got a video to bring it out, to expound on a little bit more. We're seeing right now that, all of a sudden now, got a military shutdown. A military meeting, Salakia, government shutdown. Also, World War III is constantly looming right now. It's imminent. So, we're seeing these new alliances coming up against U.S. and Israel. We know about Netanyahu. He constantly, he's on, he's constantly he's just what you call a warmonger. He just want war. And one thing about it, we already knowing that the least of the flock, which in fact is Israel, is going to get it popping. So we seeing right now these prophecies are constantly lining up. He set up watchmen. Also, we know that we just finished up the Day of Atonement, in remembrance of what Yahushua Mashiach did for us. He shed his precious blood for us. And one thing about it, he made the ultimate sacrifice. And one thing about it, we always got to ask the Lord to have mercy upon us. And remember what he done, and that we're part of the whole elect. The Lord covered us in his precious blood. And one thing about it, man, we know that the Lord is visiting the earth that he created. These things are constantly happening right before our eyes. So we're seeing that now. They talking about the government shutdown. It could affect a lot of these essential workers. They gonna have to work without pay. Also talking about a lot of government assistance like food stamps, Section 8. What's the other one? Something dealing with the homeless people. And I think Medicaid is still going to be good, and Social Security is still going to run, and also the mail is still going to run. But we already know that they putting these things into play because, while the government shut down, they could easily cause, hey, we're going to, they could collapse the economy, on purpose. We know that that's going to happen at some point. We know that the stock market is going up and down right now. We already knowing that that the dollar is very weak right now. We're seeing that America is very on the decline, and these things are constantly happening all around, one thing behind another. So one event behind another. So now let's go here and get a quick precept before we open up before we start today's video. Let's go here to Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 3 say, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. So right now we seeing, foreseeing the evil. We seeing that all hell is getting ready to break loose. We know that we're coming upon a time of trouble that we've never seen before. Also, we seeing right now that America is slowly becoming a police state. Also, we seeing right now that DJ Donald Trump is constantly getting these top military leaders together. It's already rumors that they're getting ready to turn the military upon the U.S. citizens. It has not been confirmed. It's only rumors, but we already know that we're going to measure the time diligently. A prudent man or a wise man foresees the evil. So we seeing what's happening right before our eyes any given day. We know these things that get ready to happen. And also we know that grain of rice is right around the corner. It said, hides himself. And how do he hide himself? With this wisdom, this knowledge, this gospel. There shall be a stronghold in times of trouble. It says, but the simple pass on and are punished. Those are the ones that are not aware, are being circumspect, not redeeming the time wisely. Don't know who they are, don't know who their true power is. Also, they don't know what time that we're living in. Also, they don't know who the enemy is. And now everybody talking about the 2/3, that same rebellious house that did not want to return to Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. And now about when you go to Zechariah chapter 13, 8 through 9, it will tell you 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die. And also the Lord said, first my judgment will start at the house of Israel. Judgment is now at hand. These prophecies are speaking loud and clear. And also the men of the Lord are standing on their watch. And we'll stand on fire for Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. And one thing about it, we are very close. We are so very close. Rejoice ye heaven. So now I start Dave's videos, and I got another video I want to show too, but we're going to show this one about this government shutdown, and after that I'll show one about these rumors of wars. Let's get this one right quick, and after the video we'll start the lesson, and I hope that you will get edified.
Well, I'm just leaving Capitol Hill, and brace yourselves because we are headed to a government shutdown. But what exactly happened? Well, tonight, Senate Republicans forced a vote on a bill to keep the government funded. Democrats blocked that. They say they will not agree to keep the government funded until Republicans agree to reverse cuts to Medicaid and also to extend expiring Obamacare subsidies so that healthcare premiums do not go up for millions of Americans. Republicans say they're willing to talk about all that, but not while the government is shut down. So here's the bottom line. There needs to be compromise in order to avert a government shutdown. There is not compromise at this point. So what does this all mean? Well, it means that 4 million federal workers could go without pay. That includes 2 million troops and also TSA workers, air traffic controllers. It's going to be another long day tomorrow. Democrats and Republicans have already left the Capitol, so I am heading home too. The government shuts down at midnight.
Good morning. Today is Wednesday, October 1st. Let's get into the shelter and housing perspective about the government shutdown, and let's talk about what we might see and how this might affect you, or if you are on Section 8, you rely on these subsidies, and if you were in a shelter. I'm only going to talk about a couple of things because it's still really too early to go over the most important details. So as we know that the shutdown can have a serious wide range of effects, so let's look at this breakdown on how this may impact shelters, voucher holders, and housing programs. So immediate impacts of the federal government shutdown on shelters and housing programs. So we know that HUD is operating on a slow, or they're halting a lot of their businesses. So most of HUD staffs are furloughed, leaving a small skeleton crew to manage a central task. Renewals for Section 8 project-based rental assistance contracts may be delayed if the shutdown lasts more than 30 days. New grants, contracts, and funding approvals are paused, affecting shelters and housing providers relying on federal support. Okay, housing choice vouchers. Let's get into Section 8 for a second. Payments to landlord may be delayed if HUD systems are inaccessible for funding and runs out. Public housing authorities may face uncertainties and administrative delays, especially if they rely on HUD systems for processing payments. Shelter operations. Shelters funded by federal grants like ESG and COC may experience delays in reimbursements or grant renewals. Staffing shortages at HUD and other agencies can slow down technical assistance, compliance checks, and reporting. So again, the short term, under 30 days, if this does go for under 30 days. Most programs will continue without minimal disruption, but if it lasts longer than 30 days, funding gaps may force shelters and housing providers to cut service, delay payments, and even pause new intakes. So this is what we're looking at. Of course, there's more, but this is just from the shelter and housing assistance perspective. Again, stay tuned, have your notifications on. As more comes in, I will report it.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. They're taking a risk by having a shutdown because of the shutdown, we can do things medically and other ways, including benefits. We can cut large numbers of people out. We don't want to do that, but we don't want fraud, waste, and abuse. But they want to have illegal aliens come into our country and get massive health care at the cost to everybody else, and we don't have it. And that's I would say the number one reason that they want to strike is to get illegal immigrants health care.
I'm wondering, how many people actually believe that? I'm afraid a lot do.
I think if you're told by the president and other networks.
It's a lie, and other networks will either repeat that lie,
or just let
and all their hosts will repeat that lie, and podcasters will repeat that lie all day, and Republicans will repeat that lie all day. When, as Willie said, it is illegal for illegal immigrants to get Medicare, to get Medicaid, to get Cadillac, as the president said, Cadillac health care coverage. This is not true. It is completely false, an unambiguous lie. Going into this government shutdown, they're lying to their own supporters. They're lying to their own constituents. They're lying to their own followers, saying Democrats want to shut down the government because they want to give great health care benefits to illegal immigrants. It's a total lie. So I'm wondering, where in the Bible does Mike Johnson...
So, you pretty much get the picture. So basically, on that last video, we seeing that DJ Donald Trump really was talking about, you already know, the people of color. That's, you got to, read through the code. So we seeing right there that, he constantly, putting a lot of things into place, talking about cutting this, cutting that, basically targeting, once again, the people of color, And one thing about it, that, we're here, man. Jacob's Troubles also is at the door. So let's get this quick precept, then we're going to get another video about this rumors of war. Let's get this right quick. It says here, Ecclesiastes chapter Ecclesiastes chapter 12, just a little excited in the spirit. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 1, it said, remember now thy creator in the day of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. So it's going to come a time where you're not going to have any pleasure in them. So right now, it's time to seek the Lord. You're basically in your youth, but now, while we still have time before the door of repentance closed, in the day of thy youth, what I'm saying? A lot of people, might come in their youth. Some people might come in middle age, old age, depending on what time you come in. But when you do come in, you got to seek the Lord, because these days are growing evil and evil. What I'm saying? It's going to be what? You're going to have no pleasure in them. And one thing about it, that we're seeing that these things are constantly, they putting certain things into place left and right. We're going to cut this. We're going to cut that. We're going to do away with this. Constantly putting all sorts of things into place, executive orders and stuff. It's constantly tightening the grip, on the Negroes, the Latinos, the Native Indians, the Mexicans. I'm talking to you. And one thing about it, we knowing that, the whole world will be in trouble, but who will be the most in trouble is, is us. One thing about it, that we already, we seeing that this devil is getting ready to come down with great wrath. He already telling you, we could do this, we could do that. You got to look at, he's speaking in code, but the men of the Lord, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, so days are coming that you will have no pleasure in them very soon. We already knowing a great economic collapse, no jobs, no homelessness gonna set in. A lot of things that get ready to come to pass, A lawless time, civil unrest, civil war, a lot of things are coming. Wars upon our shores also, it's already rumors that, like what's called the purge, different things like that. It's coming, civil war, once again. Verse 2 said, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Verse 3 said, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out the window be darkened. So right here, the keepers of the house, it's talking about these stockbrokers, these financial analysts and so forth, he's seeing that, hey, these things ain't looking right. Also, you see this government shutdown, so we know that the stock market is going up and down, it's very, very, it is pretty much on a decline, we seeing that dark forecast. And also it said the strong men shall bow themselves, and saying the grinders cease. So right here, the strong men talk about these, the international bankers, One thing about it, we seeing right now, a lot of things are happening, at a fast pace. And, now this government shutdown, or we're going to cut this, we're going to cut that. Said the grinding is going to see. It's talking about what the grinding, you like I said, you on your grind, talking about what these jobs. It already said, you seen in the last video, in the first video too, that they're going to cut funding for this. They're going to cut this job out, that job out. So much people are losing their job left and right. And also, we know that what AI is taking over, so pretty much they don't even need peoples anymore, because they letting, get ready to come into this new digital infrastructure whereby, said the forefront of it is going to be AI, robotics, so these things are coming into place. So it says here, the grinding ceases because they are few, no job, people right now, how I'm going to pay my bill, how I'm going to eat, like right now, these essential workers, they trying to figure out how they going to do this, how they going to do that, but they already knowing that, that they got to pay them for that. So, and then it might come to a point where they will not pay them, so we already know this setting the stage for what? Civil unrest, sedition among men, a lot of things that happen. And it says here, it says, those that look out the window be darkened. So a lot of people looking at the windows right now and seeing that, it's looking very bad, and things not looking good, a dark forecast. It says here, bad news. It says here, that hard times are coming. Verse 4 says, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall rise up at the voice of the birds, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. So right here, the doors in the street shall be shut. So it's talking about a lot of these places are going out of business. We're seeing right now, the left and right. And also we're seeing a lot of these different major companies are moving over into the UK, like Disney, Marvel, what's the other? A lot of these celebrities, they getting the hell up out of here. They already knowing that, that they're seeing that the daughter of music shall be brought low. All the mirth of the land is gone. And also it says that the grinding is low. So, it's right here, that there's no job once again, unemployment, we hear, man, these things are right upon us, a lot of people, right now might have a lot right now and things might be looking good, but all of a sudden, all hell is getting ready to break loose. A lot of people are relaxing in their lead, thinking that they are a good case. And these things are happening right before our eyes. A lot of people, it's going to be all right. We've been through this once before. I think that first government shutdown, I think it was the first term of President DJ Donald Trump. I think it was. He had to shut down then. It's going to be all right. They'll have it back up in 3 days. But guess what? When all hell break loose, ain't nothing going back the same. And one thing about it, that America it's finished. America is circling the drain. This place is getting ready to be totally destroyed. In the middle of law, we're constantly warning you left and right. And also, it said right here, the daughters of music shall be brought low, which in fact, all the good old time, the being merry, happy, a sense of normalcy, it's all going to be gone, Everything right now, people constantly being got a lot of uncertainties. A lot of people right now are very afraid. A lot of people right now don't know what the hell they're going to do. A lot of people get ready to stress out, getting ready to bug out. A lot of things are getting ready to happen. So we knowing that it's setting the stage once again for that civil unrest. So now let's go here and get one more video. And that video, we'll get we get one more video, and out there we'll get a precept or two to go with it, then we'll close out. Let's go here. Let's get this little Google search right here. And I looked it up, that it was, just a quick Google search. It says America going to war on 3 major fronts. So I just looked up a few things, see what it was saying. Let's go, let's see what it says. It says here, areas of heightened geopolitical tension. And it's right here, it says Eastern Europe. It's telling you about, what's going on in Eastern Europe, the escalation over there. Russia full-scale invasion of Ukraine is talking about that conflict. And then they're saying that it was spilling over into NATO's border. See right here, Poland and Romania. So a lot of those things are happening right there. So that's another scenario that it could be on that front, right there. They said Middle East. It said the region is experiencing heightened instability with multiple active conflicts drawing U.S. involvement. So right now we already know that if we know it says a possibility that America is getting ready to go to war with Iran, we already know that Israel is going to be involved also. The least of the flock should draw them out. So we already know that tension is constantly rising. Right here, the Gaza war. So those things right there, we've been seeing that ever since October 17th, I think of what year was that? October 17th of 24, if I'm not mistaken. It's an Iran-Israel proxy conflict. It's over Yemen and the Red Sea. So many different fronts here. It's Indo-Pacific, Taiwan. So we already know about what's going on. It's rumors that China is getting ready to invade Taiwan. So there's a lot of things. How in the hell is America going to spread themselves that thin? We already know that they're not going to win. They get ready, get ready to meet their fate. And one thing about we saying that the Lord is gathering the nation, the South China Sea. Constantly telling you about all these fronts. Also we knowing about the one in Venezuela, down in South America. Just the little things I'm looking at, connected conflicts. A lot of things, this conflict, China, Russia, and allies, They getting together. It's man, a lot of things. Just giving you a little thing that's going on. So let's get this little report by Desert Foreman here. This dude here. He put out. We're gonna get just a little of that, then we're gonna close out. Not to meant to be alone. Sorry about being all over the place, but there's a lot of things that's going on right now. And once again, the elect would get it. See here, it says emergency alert. It says war in 72 hours and multiple fronts to open up. Let's see. So this is here by off-grid Desert Foreman. Let's get a little bit of this report. We don't get too much of it, but that's just not what he's saying. That this is a possibility, but it has not been confirmed. But we're going to measure the time diligently.
State of alert. Iran has went to full state of alert. Iran goes on military alert. Says hostilities with Israel and the U.S. is imminent. So this is our World War III update. We're giving you a 72-hour window. So probably this weekend is when all of this is going to pop off. And we're not just saying this because we like to make predictions. From all the data points coming in, not just only from Hal Turner, that's one of our sources, but from multiple data points, it does look like that we are going to war this weekend with probably multi-different locations. One of them is Iran, the other is Venezuela, and possibly even Russia. So we're going to dive into this. Jack, I was kidding. Laugh out loud. So anyway, this is our breaking news. Iran is on their highest state alert. That is what is being reported earlier this morning. The Islamic Republic of Iran Army and the IRGC are on high alert, with Iranian media and officials warning of an imminent confrontation with the United States and Israel. This is a developing story. President Trump just signed an executive order. Any attack on Qatar equals a direct threat to the United States. Remember, the largest U.S. air base in the Middle East is in Qatar. And in the last 24 hours, dozens of American fighter jets and refueling tanker aircraft have been shifted eastward. Many landing at the Al Udeid air base. This isn't routine diplomacy. It looks like the U.S. is setting the legal and military stage for an Iranian strike that could come from Qatari soil. So I wanted to cover this, but I want to give you some additional information. Now, we've been reporting this. Other news channels, other military channels have been reporting this, that at least 30 U.S. KC-135 Strato tankers and other tanker aircraft have left the United States and Europe and has headed toward the Middle East region. A lot of those are flying into the Qatari base. That is our main military base. But what is so strange about this new executive order that Donald Trump has just signed is, do you remember about 2 weeks ago? Remember 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when Donald Trump arranged a meeting with the top Hamas delegation into Doha, Qatar, for a peace conference with Israel. Do you remember that? That Donald Trump says, Hamas, we want to have a peace conference in Qatar. You meet in Doha with the Israeli officials, and we want to work out a peace agreement. So guess what? The Hamas delegation went and flew into Qatar and went into the capital and entered the building in Doha. And guess what? Israel bombed that building with full knowledge of the United States. So Donald Trump lied to Hamas. He lured them into Qatar. He bombed, or he let it.
That's enough. We're going to get to that report. So we're seeing right now there's a possibility that America could be going to war on three major fronts, but that's only rumors that had not been confirmed. So we're seeing right now we got to, measure the time diligently in itself. So we see that these Bible prophecies are constantly speaking loud and clear. So let's get this one right quick. We'll get a couple more, then we'll close out. That's why the Lord set up watchmen to warn you all these impending dangers. Things are happening one behind another. And one thing about it, if you get caught sleeping, and you're gonna miss out. And you know what I'm saying, on a whole lot, because these prophecies are just, they are rolling right now, man. We're living in some very exciting times. So 2 Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1, it said, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the sign pass, which I have told thee before. And about how do we measure the time diligently, through these scriptures, so that's the measuring stick, so we can know how close we are to the end, and also the second coming of our Lord and Savior and our great deliverance. Also, we are knowing that we're very close to what our deliverance, our salvation is at the door. So that's one thing about it. That's why we're measuring very, diligently. We're watching, we're redeeming the time wisely. And also we're being patient, waiting, on the Lord, great and glorious return. Man, we cannot wait, man. Verse 2, it said, then shall thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So right now we knowing that the Lord is visiting the world which he made, because we're seeing that one event behind another is happening like a domino effect. Also, the Lord is constantly moving the chess pieces around. Also, he's gathering the nation for the constant verse of Zion. All sorts of things are constantly happening. Also, we know that judgment is now at hand. Verse 3 said, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. So that's exactly what we're seeing. Earthquakes in diverse places, rumors of wars all over the place, uproars of the people. Right now we're seeing that this government shutdown, because it could lead to what? The Egyptian against the Egyptian, civil war, sedition, a lot of rioting, a lot of things. It's exactly what they want. It's order out of chaos. So we waiting to see. So we seeing right now that it's uproars all over the world. It's globally, and it's going to constantly pick up. Verse 4 said, then shall thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things the things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world has a beginning and the end is manifest. So we constantly seeing the end is what is more obvious and clear, and also it's being revealed right before our eyes. We're seeing that these things are going to constantly pick up. We're getting closer and closer. You know what I'm saying? Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation. That grain of rice, these things are constantly happening. Even though that we'll sound like a broken record, but these are the time that we're living in. Men, Lord, in the highways and byways, making these video epistles, constantly warning you left and right. These things are happening. You see something, you're supposed to say something. So let's go here to Matthew chapter 24. We'll probably get one more to close at verse 6, because this is what we constantly hearing left and right. It says here, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of war. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So all these things must come to pass. That's what we constantly seeing, the birth pains. And one thing about rumors of wars all over the place, left and right. These nations are preparing for war, any given day. These things can go down. Also on our own backyard, on American soil right now, the prep in the military, something big is getting ready to go down. Watch, pray. Pray without ceasing. And one thing about it, keep your eye single on that prize, which in fact is the kingdom of heaven that dwells in righteousness. Verse 7 said, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine, pestilence, and earthquakes in diverse places. So we seeing earthquakes pretty much every day, pestilence constantly increasing, these plagues, things are happening left and right, famine, we already know we're coming upon a great economic collapse. Also, going to bring forth famine in the land. Also, that about the famine of the world, a lot of things are coming down the pipeline. People going to be homeless, people going to be unalive. A lot of things are getting ready to come to pass. Starvation, these things are coming, left and right. A lack of bread, a lack of resources. People are going to get very desperate. It says right here, verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. So we just at the beginning of sorrows, these birth pains, but the end is not yet. So these things are constantly happening. They're going to constantly pick up. They're going to constantly increase. That's all these things are coming before our faith. Let's get one more and we'll close. Let's go here to 2 Ezra chapter 16. We'll close out here and we'll start up at verse 69. 2nd Amos chapter 16 and verse 69, and it said, and they, let's start at verse 68, Salakia. It says here, 2nd Amos chapter 16 and verse 68, for behold, a burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certainly you, and feed you being idols with things offered to idols. So right now we're seeing a great multitude is being kindled over us. Also we know that they constantly putting these military troops in different states across the United States. Also, we know that great multitude of these nations, that they're getting ready to invade America. Like China, Russia. In collaboration with the NATO, and also we know that these neighboring countries, also like Venezuela, for one thing. We know that it's going to pick up. We already know that once America go into Venezuela, you already know that China and Russia are going to get involved, and also we know that there are warships and also these war fighter planes already off the coast of Alaska. So things are right here. They're very close to us, on both sides. Warships in the Pacific, warships in the Atlantic, also warships in the Caribbean, and also around, I think over there in the, I can't think of the name of that sea, in the Caribbean, over there in that area, so a lot of things are picking up that great multitude. And it says here, and they shall take away certainly you and feed you being idols with things offered to idols. That's what we constantly tell you about that idol, that digital oil, which in fact the MOTB, and everybody take away certainly you. They already got these things into play, these facilities, already got these ICE patrols already, locking people up, taking them to the facility. There's already reports that they're getting ready to go into Chicago. Also, it's rumors that these ICE patrol already has started arresting so-called, black people. And one thing about it, that we're getting very close. And we know that, there's no such thing as black, no such thing as white. They're a social construct. But one thing about it, we already know that they'll get ready to, the Esau is getting ready to come with that sword, also with that grain of rice very soon. So we're here, man, and offer you things, feed you things being idle. You know what I'm saying? We are very close, man. We are very close. Verse 69 said, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and reproach and trodden underfoot. And everybody, a lot of people going to consent. A lot of people are going to be under subjection. And want to, going to take that badge of servitude, that digital oil, and you're going to be trodden underfoot. You will have to suffer that second death, which in fact is a lake of fire, and America will be that lake of fire. And how will it be a lake of fire? Through these IBCM missiles, and also that laser and chariot fire that's coming from Yahweh Ba'ashim Abishai. When you look to the east, to the brightness of his coming, the Lord's going to come from the east to the west in that great fathership. We cannot wait. Verse 7, he said, for there shall be in every place and in the next city a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. So every day going to be in what? Every city, insurrection, sedition, all sorts of hell breaking loose, Egyptian against Egyptian. Those that fear the Lord, you're talking about the elect, the true believers of Yahweh Ba'ashim Abishai. But the Lord is going to, lift up a standard. So divine intervention is getting ready to come to play, supernatural intervention, And also, we know that the Archangel Michael got to stand up for the children of Israel. And one thing about it, keep talking about this 3-eye atlas. Could that be Michael Kal-El, coming to rescue? We going to find out. Or could they be trying to put together a fake invasion? This blue beam, Project Blue Beam. And one thing about it, whatever they try, it's not going to work. The Lord is getting ready to take this man out of the way. His reign of terror is almost over. Verse 71 said, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And one thing about it, we know they're coming upon that time. When all hell break loose, they're going to be like madmen, sparing none. So we are here, man. It's at the door. The stage is set. All things are ready. But guess what? Verse 72 said, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. And one thing about it, we know when there was a lack of resource, lack of bread, no food, no water, no medication, no things that you could get comfort from. People going to be in what's called a beast mode. It's going to be like, like animals out here. It's going to be ill or be ill. You know what I'm saying? These things are coming into play left and right. We constantly warn you left and right, but it says here, verse 73 said, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire. So, it's going to come a time where you're going to know exactly who the Lord is dealing with, which in fact is his elect, the true believers of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, when this time of trouble comes. We're not worried about no government shutdown. We're not worried about World War III. We're not even worried about Jacob's trouble. We're not worried about the hour of temptation, the grain of rice. We're going to constantly trust and believe in Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, even though we're going to go through these fiery trials. And the one thing about it, we already knowing about this damn false prophets talking about, you're going to be raptured up September the 23rd. We already know that was a total lie. And one thing about it, we have that spirit of discernment. And one thing about it, we already know that a lot of false prophets will arise. And one thing about it, the Lord's getting ready to destroy a lot of these false prophets also. But, you're going to know who the Lord is dealing with, because when that time of trouble comes, you're going to be seeing who the Lord is going to be protecting. There's a lot of things getting ready to happen, a lot of power is getting ready to be shown for, power beyond your comprehension is getting ready to come to this earth. The Lord's getting ready to show his great glory and his great power. 2 chapter 16 and verse 74 say, "Hear, O ye my beloved, said the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same." So we know that the day of trouble is at hand. Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation, that grain of rice, these wars are getting ready to come upon the World War III, the wars to end all war. But the Lord said, I will deliver you from the same, because we trust and believe in Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, even though we're seeing that these things are happening all around us at a fast pace, a room over here, an event happening there. One thing about it, we're going to constantly stay grounded and seated. We have confidence that our Lord and Savior is going to deliver us. We're seeing that these things are happening. Verse 75 said, Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for your power is your guide. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it, the Lord is going to be your guide. He's going to help us in time of trouble. He shall sustain us. The Lord is going to be that strong tower in times of trouble. We cannot wait, man. These things are happening left and right, man. Prophecies after prophecy. And also, once again, we just not finished up the Day of Atonement. And one thing about it, we got to constantly, afflict ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about it, and remember, and always keep and remember what the Lord did for us. And one thing about it, the Lord is almost here. You know what I'm saying? The Lord is getting ready to return. The Lord is getting ready to set that righteous order back upon this earth. And also the Lord is getting ready to give us power over the nation. Spiritual power, immortality, rulership. We cannot wait. And the only way out of here is up. If you're not getting beamed up, you're getting burnt up. If you love it here, you're getting ready to die here. If you're not ready to rule, you're getting ready to die. So it's plain and simple. So the title of today's lesson, once again, is News and Prophecies. It's a government shutdown and rumors of war. So I'd like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushua, Ba'ashim, Rekah Kwadash. I'd like to say, Shalom, Shalom.